Best furnace in our opinion and experience, top 4. We will go through some pros and cons of what we see as the market leaders and give you our real-world experience for serviceability, availability of parts and expected running costs. We will count down from least favorite to most. A very important thing to consider is the people installing your furnace too. A furnace install is a relatively simple process, but a few wrong steps, accidentally or purposely overlooked, will cause you issues down the road. You may not reap the negative effects until you have far surpassed the warranties offered. So our opinions here can also be affected by poor installs we have seen and had to deal with. We will give you some important steps to confirm with your install crew later in the video. Here we go. First up is a controversial opinion. Lennox. While they are a market leader and can be found in many newly built homes, they can be an overly complex beast. You will find them to be the highest efficient, grasping at every last technological advance to make this the lowest day-to-day running cost, quality parts, and a name that is known around the world. But when this unit breaks down, you may find yourself with a larger bill for repair, from a misleading diagnosis to parts not being readily available depending on your area. Much of the efficiency you gain is due to parts that are highly strung, more of these parts than the competitors, and a control board that does not seem to be able to pinpoint the issues and will seemingly mislead your technician no matter his or her experience. If you are lucky enough to not have a costly breakdown over the years, however, you will have gained in the lower energy costs of this high-end purchase. If you find yourself buying a home with a Lennon furnace, by no means are we saying rip it out. But just be aware, if this one needs repairs, you may find a sizable bill coming your way. If you are getting close to $1,000 bill on one that is even 5 years old or older, it would be a good idea to consider a replacement to avoid further costs down the road, as within a couple of repairs you could buy a whole new furnace. Train. It is famously said that you can't stop a train, but our view on this is that it's a real bitch to get a train going again. They are not terrible to work on or diagnose. The parts are typically available, and if your tech knows what they're doing, they can often get parts from another brand and the unit will run flawlessly in a pinch. However, these units have some excessive costs on certain parts. For example, the main blower in these can quite literally cost as much as a whole new unit. They often run over $3,000. At this point, it is time to say goodbye to this one. Please give us a like and share if you're getting value from our channel. York is another household name in most places in the world. They have a good reputation for a reliable product. Parts are typically readily available, reasonably priced, and easy for your tech to diagnose. The high-efficient models come with their drawbacks, with some problematic high-end gas valves, but typically this is an issue found on install, so does not cost the customer any money. But something to be aware of. They do have a rigorous startup required by the installer if you want the no-hassle warrant if your installer offers this. So if this is performed correctly and adjustments made accordingly, you will get a high-quality furnace installed well. This is where you need to know you have a good install crew that can be trusted. A thing in short supply these days. Shortly we will go over those few questions and checks you can ask your installer and or their salesperson to size up their knowledge and quality assurance. Temp star keep right. Depending on your perspective, we are giving you a review in 4 or 5 because these two furnaces are made by the same manufacturer and simply come with a slightly different exterior look. But the quintessential components are identical inside. This would be our number one choice. We put more of these in than any other brand. They are the cheapest of the options we have provided you. Typically cheap is not what we look for. But when we are looking at everything in a non-biased way, these stand out for us. We have installed thousands of these units, and the reason we do so is simple: we rarely go back to fix them. When we do, there are simple diagnostics for our techs. The parts are almost always available, and as the manufacturer sells them under 2 names, there are more wholesalers carrying the same parts. So if your tech can't find something at one wholesaler, they can call around to track down what they need. This furnace has a very simple error code system, so often you, the homeowner, can identify the potential issue and maybe fix yourself. If you find yourself in this situation, check out our furnace repair videos to learn some simple tips and tricks to get your furnace heating again. So this brings us to those checks and questions for the company you purchase from. Firstly, word of mouth is key as with any trade. If you have friends and family that have had an install from this crew, then ask about their experience, how the company dealt with any issue, and about the quality of the install. There is nothing wrong in asking and waiting for the specific installer they had to, as not all installers are the same. Quality can vary and work ethics can really affect your install. Ask to see the startup report. You should make the salesperson or crew aware you want this before the install starts. If they do not have one or want to share it with you, then this is a red flag. The startup proves to an experienced installer of any underlying issues and proves they have set it up within the manufacturer's recommendations. You want to confirm the furnace is level or very slightly grading to the front of the furnace, and also favoring the side the condensate drain comes out. A back grading furnace will potentially suffer from a plugged secondary heat exchanger years down the road. Ensure the gas pressures are correct. An overfiring unit will eventually potentially cause the primary heat exchanger to crack. This can allow products of combustion into the home and potentially have deadly effects. A side note here is every home should have a carbon monoxide alarm. Often these are integrated to the smoke alarm. But we have found they do not alarm until levels are really high, so a plug-in style at low level in bedrooms is the best place for one. Most people die in their sleep from carbon monoxide poisoning, so the bedroom is the ideal place to set this up. They are relatively cheap, and for the cost of your life these are 100% with a small investment. We have some linked in our description if you need to purchase. They will also be available at your local hardware store. Please note this happens to any product that burns natural gas or liquid propane. So almost every home should have at least one. Babies and the elderly are most at risk of this type of poisoning, so ensure they have them in their rooms. Ensure the sheet metal transitions are well made, secured with sheet metal screws and not just taped together. This may start to rattle or come apart as time goes by. A good installer will bend as much of the larger metal pieces they can, so minimal screws and tape are required. A simple test of this will be when the unit is running on maximum fan speed. Check for air leaks. Check they have sealed up any holes leading to outside. You don't want bugs and small mammals finding their way in through small gaps. Remember, if you can fit a ballpoint pen in a gap, then a mouse can get through. Give the entire install a look over. If the install is physically sloppy, then there's a high chance the startup checks will be equally as sloppy. Most install crews will have a sticker they put on the ductwork showing the basics of the startup. The supply and return air temperatures should be there, along with what's called the temperate rise, the difference between the supply and return. The gas pressures. The furnace's rating plate will give the tolerances and desired number the specific furnace is looking for correct operation. If you are given the option of extending the labor warranty on a modern furnace, it is normally a good move to take it. Typically it will be considerably less than $1,000, like between $300 and $600. In 10 years, if you use this even once, it can pay for itself. Check what is included and most importantly excluded. Typically industry standards will be that this excludes out of regular business hours, and if you live out of the center the company is based in, then mileage will not be inclusive. But if you are confident in your ability to repair along with our how-to videos, then throw caution to the wind and save that money. We will fix it together. Don't forget you can email us directly with any questions you have. Our email can be found in our bio. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to keep our free content coming to you, and feel free to request any how-to videos you want to see that we do not already have posted.